And we're live on time. I don't want to have to owe anybody any push ups for being late. Yeah, I see you there, Rick. And Nomad Burns. Who else we got in here? John, Rick, Stanley, James, Zerzuzi. I don't know, I butchered that fucking name. Oop, I got to be careful. You got to go the first 8 minutes before you drop any F bombs. But hopefully that doesn't ding me too bad. Michelle. All right. So this morning, I was on Russ's live stream, and I guess there's been a flurry of activity after he did that. He did a really nice job with his counter, um, video. Denise, what's up? James, uh, and while I was on there, somebody had sent me a message. One of my longtime subscribers. He's been around for since early 21, even before that, I think. And he had recorded a fellow employee. Now, he works, he's a professional security person. And he was working with this guy, and this guy was just spinning a tail. And he sent me a text message. He says, I think I might have a little case of stolen valor for you to look at. So he recorded it. He's in a one-party state, which means only one person needs to be aware that a recording's being made. He made that recording available to me, so I downloaded that recording and I did a little bit of manipulations with it. So, yeah, I'm going to play that recording, but I'm going to wait a little bit and see if we get a few more people in here. Oh yeah, that's cool. I give a thumbs up and I get this little thing, burp, 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 that pops up every now and then. It's weird. This new camera with the software and the that, and my lighting is off. It keeps like fading, and I just need to get some better lighting. But yeah, we'll take care of that at some time. Rebecca Moreland. Rebecca. Dirty South Cats. Marlon, what's up? Hopefully I didn't miss anybody that came in. I'm only going to wait a little bit longer. Oh, who do I look like now? I'm eating a cookie. These guys have lost their minds. Fraud Wrangler and K4 have lost their mind over GT's video this morning. And not to mention Josh Stone Vet going live 3 times. And they found a LinkedIn account which is mysteriously disappeared. Yeah, it's all pretty funny. Kind of look like K4 sitting here eating cookies. I'm not going to sit here and eat cookies for 2 hours, though. I guarantee you that. So this video, there's no actual video. It's audio, and I ran it through my my editing software and tried to enhance the audio as best I could. So you're going to be able to hear it, and I haven't listened to the whole thing all the way through. It goes through like it's about 25 minutes, and the audio is kind of rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my headset on so I can really hear what he's saying, and then I'm going to stop at key moments and talk a little bit about the bullshit that he's spewing, because It's I didn't know Navy SEALs went to training in Georgia. I don't know. Maybe we get a Navy SEAL in the chat that can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Really wasn't sure. So we got a few more people added in here. We got Kelly, Willie, Mr. Fox, Paul. Welcome. Cookie Crunchers unite and be proud. Yeah, I said what the hell, but I had to have my coffee. I mean, there's no senior NCO out there that's going to give a brief and give a talk and not have his coffee. GT, what's up, brother? Man, did you stir up a friggin' hornet's nest with your live this morning? Wow, it's crazy. It's crazy. Maybe that's what I need to do to get Fraud at Wrangler Michael Kaiser to respond to my emails. But man, can't wait to see what you do with that. That's pretty crazy. Thank you, James K. Appreciate it. Appreciate that much. Maybe anything I make here this month, I'm going to put towards some actual real studio lighting to where I can get this a little bit better. I don't have a whole lot of room for my studio. It's really small, and I got a green screen up, and I live in an 1867 farmhouse that's tiny. So I've only got a very small cubicle area that I use for the studio. And I don't know why the lighting is fading in and out. I don't know if it's a setting with the new Opal C1 camera or not. Honey buns and coffee. Yeah, I'm not so big on the honey buns. Did Basic in Chicago? Did SF do any training there? I don't know who SF is. I hope you don't mean Special Forces. No. All right. Let's see. Now I think we get enough people. I can get started on this and oh, here we go. James K. Yeah, the taser video again. All right. You guys kill me. I'm going to play the taser video, and then we're going to go into our latest and greatest tail spinner, who was in the Air Guard. I'm not sure what state yet. I think it might have been Georgia. And once things progress a little bit more, I'll do a records check. I'll do a FOIA pull and do all that. James, you're fucking killing me. Let me see if I remember where I put that file. Oh, of course I know where it is. All right, here you go.
Everybody all set? Spotters ready?
Yep. Good.
Taker ready? Videos ready?
Yep.
Stand by and
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Taser, taser, taser.
Ah! Ah! Okay.
All right, that's it. Only one time. Only one time. Yeah. K4 is also posting some of his stuff now. I don't care. He's weak. He's soft. And yeah. He was supposed to get back to me after the holidays, and that hasn't happened. So yes, Paul, I do go into my basement. This was my great grandparents' house, actually, 1867. It's been in the family since it was built. And my great grandparents lived here when I was growing up. So my great grandfather died when I was really small. I was only 3 or 4 years old. But my great grandmother, she lived to be 102. And yeah, I still smell some of her cooking every now and then. And the doors will open and so on and so forth. So yeah. All right, let's get into this. I'm going to put my headset on and make sure it's connected. And if you have a headset, I suggest you put it on. It's some of the audio is kind of hard to hear, but I think I managed to enhance it enough and clean it up enough to where you can actually see and hear what's going on. All right. And remove this one. We'll add the new one.
Smart, so I don't know what the hell.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this play for a little bit. Just let me know how the audio is on it. And if the audio is good, we'll keep right on going. I'm talking about the volume level. The audio, like I said, I tried to clean it up as much as I could. And I'm going to stop this at key points because this first part, he's talking about some young lady that he had sex with that turned out to be some colonel's daughter. And supposedly she was underage and he didn't know. It's weird. All right.
We met and we talked, and I don't know, maybe I had some game or something. Anyway, we got on that. They don't know if we did what people do. And she was coming back from the community showers in the dorm, and I was looking. I was in her room, and I was looking. I was like, she comes back in. She's wearing a towel. I was like, Jack. She's like, yeah. I was like, is that your varsity jacket? She goes, yeah. Why? I was like, Jack, I think this was 84. This year was 82. The year was 1982, but her jacket said 1984.
Some time traveler or something.
She graduated high school.
Oh, okay.
She, my life flashed before my eyes. Well, I was going to live.
So his life flashed before his eyes, thought he was going to prison.
The colonel didn't want the embarrassment.
So this was some colonel's daughter, and they didn't want the embarrassment, so they didn't go forward with. Bullshit.
He didn't want the embarrassment.
So the Air National Guard, they sent you overseas and everything.
Hmm?
So as the Air National Guard, they sent you overseas.
Oh, yeah. Well, back in the day, so in 1993, a senator from Pennsylvania came up with a law that said, and they've rescinded this law since. After 2005, I think they rescinded the law because there's 3 units out there, one in the Air Force and 2 in the Army, that are basically relief for special forces.
Huh? So this guy's saying that there's 2 Army units and an Air Force unit that are relief for special forces. All right. Maybe somebody ought to tell special forces that. I don't know what the frick he's talking about, and I don't know what law he's talking about from 93 that was rescinded in 2005. But we'll listen some more.
Special operations forces in the Air Force. But back when I went in, um, there was no such law. But the law that they made was that you could not be a tier 1, 2, or 3 operator in any of the branches if you were not full time. So you couldn't.
A tier 1, 2, or a 3 operator. This guy's watched too many freaking movies.
In the Guard. Couldn't be in the Air National Guard. You couldn't be in, you couldn't be in Delta Force if you were in the Army National Guard. Up until then, Delta could take anybody.
Just so you know, guys, Delta can take anybody. And I'm not even going to get into that side of it, but Delta Force, it's actually SOF, first SOF Detachment Delta out of Bragg, and they have their own thing. There's no schools involved. It's all self-trained. You won't find a Delta operators course in ATARS. There's no such thing. They don't just draw from the special operations community. But anyway, we'll continue on. So he's alluding to Delta Force at this point. Let's see where this goes. And like I said, I haven't listened to this whole video all the way through. So I just went through special points to make sure that the audio was cleaned up enough to where you guys would be able to hear it.
Including people from the Guard. There were guys that didn't try it out for SEAL Team 6 and didn't make it that got into Delta. There were Marines in Delta. I mean, if they liked you and you could pull the weight, you'd be in. But anyway, so long story short, so 18 years later, this 1999 is when the law went into effect, and we were getting off the plane in Germany, and my captain said, "If you're going to stay in the unit, you got to go join the Air Force."
If you're going to stay in the unit, you got to go join the Air Force. I'll be truthful, guys. I really don't know what the frick he's talking about. I don't know if he was in the Army and he was a Delta guy. Really? Well, he obviously wasn't because he doesn't know shit about anything. But now he's saying that his captain said he had to join the Air Force if he wanted to stay in the unit. All right, let's see where this goes.
I was like, "All right." And "I've got your jacket here. I'm ready to push ahead, but you got to go back for another physical." And I went in to get my physical. Guess who the doctor was? Her dad. He found something wrong with me, and he said,
The colonel?
"Yeah, Colonel." He's like,
What the? So he had to go get a physical because he was going in the Air Force, and the doctor that was giving his physical was a colonel, and it was the father of the girl that he had sex with. Really? Hey, if you're going to spin a tale, you might as well make it a real whopper.
"You got something wrong with you, and I think you lied on your application
He's right. There's something wrong with him. That's no doubt about that. There's something definitely fucking wrong with this guy.
in order to get in." And that's what I got told.
That sucks.
So it had nothing to do with his daughter, because that would have retroactively put. I mean, I could have just gone to Liverpool for that. They had me dead relaxed on that.
Mhm.
I didn't.
Well, she's 18. That's legal.
Well, no, but she wasn't 18.
Oh, wasn't. Okay.
At the time, she wasn't.
Oh, I got you.
So he's saying right now, at the time, she wasn't 18. And this was 93 or whatever. Yeah, I know, Scott, delusional. But here's the thing. And this guy's got a job in security right now. working for the feds, which is scary. I don't know where that's going to go, but we'll listen some more.
They didn't want to do nothing about it back then because she was under 18. He didn't want to embarrass her because she was 20. So let's put it this way: I'm not the most handsome looking dude on the planet. What if I got her? A bunch of other guys did too. But
So what was it like with the SEALs? I heard they're like pretty elite, pretty badass.
yeah, it was pretty cool. One thing I found the difference between different special missions units and special operations units. Um, guys in Delta, guys in the A teams, they can all go out in the field just like a combat controller and function by themselves for weeks at a time. And especially the Green Berets because they speak so many languages.
Yeah.
I mean, they blend in. They just blend in. They'll blend in with the native population, and the only way you'll know
Social camouflage.
is when they tell you.
Yeah, social camouflage.
Yeah. SEAL teams are really cool, but SEAL teams are teams. And when you just stick a combat controller or a PJ in with in with that unit, they're like, they have to, it's almost like they have to take you through how they get trained before you can even take part in an exercise.
So you never.
So now I just heard combat controller and assigned to a SEAL team. And okay, he definitely watched some movies. Definitely watched some movies.
Didn't do buds or anything.
No.
Interesting.
Whereas with Rangers, they actually. So with Rangers, first I went to get to my unit, 23rd Air Force Detachment 1.
23rd Air Force Detachment 1. I'm going to have to look that up. I didn't hear that earlier. I'd be curious what the hell that even is. But 23rd Air Force Detachment 1. If anybody wants to do a quick Google to see if that even exists, I'd be curious.
Which later became the 24th Special Tactics Squadron. To get into my unit, first you had to graduate from both schools. You had to graduate from Ranger, I guess, selection. If you graduated from Ranger selection with Ranger Scroll,
If you graduated from Ranger selection with Ranger Scroll, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
then you could be Ranger ready and not actually get the scroll. But as long as you graduated.
What's a scroll? You mean a tab?
No, a tab is a rectangle that says Ranger, like for Ranger School. And a scroll is what goes on your shoulder that says what battalion you're in.
Oh, okay.
So I graduated 3rd Battalion.
He graduated 3rd Battalion. He knows just enough about it to make stupid statements, and that's exactly what he's doing. First off, they're not going to have an Air Force guy going through RIP, the Ranger Indoctrination Program, or whatever they call it now. It used to be RIP back in the day. That's for guys that get assigned to the Ranger battalions. They are assigned to the Ranger battalions. They go through RIP, they get assigned. Yeah, exactly. Untrackable. Like I graduated 2nd ID, or I graduated 1st Cav, or I graduated the 82nd. This fucking guy has definitely got some psychological issues that need to be brought up to his current employer, I think. It is a real Air Force unit. Thank you. Is it like reserve or active or whatever you can find on detachment 1? See if you can find anything on that, Burnsy. It's a weather unit. That could be. That could be. And he was saying something about forward air control. So but this whole Ranger thing, he graduated 3rd Battalion Rangers. Really? I got some friends of mine that used to be in a Ranger Battalion. I wonder if he'd like to meet them. They can talk about their time in RIP. And I'm sure they'd rip his ass. All right, let's keep going.
Now, when I graduated, it was before cross commissioning. So when, at graduation, they handed me my scroll and saluted me. And then they turned to go to the next guy. But since I was in the Air Force and there was no such thing as cross commissioning, the captain turned around and grabbed that out of my hand and said, "You can't have that. You're in the Air Force." And he went down and gave it to the next guy.
But you completed the school.
I completed the school. I got a certificate that said that I was Ranger ready. Now, I don't know if they have the same restrictions on. They might have everything in house. But back during that day,
Doc, this is back in like 99, around that time frame. That's what he's talking about. So if the 23rd Air Force was only an active 08 to 13, yeah. Nothing so far, absolutely nothing that he said has made any sense at all. Detachment 1, mission to provide telemetry tracking and commanding operations to the United States and allied government satellite programs. All right. It doesn't sound like anything that he's claiming graduating from 3rd Battalion Rangers and getting awarded his scroll. The scroll, and I'm not even going to get into the whole Ranger thing, but the scroll patch is their unit patch. That's what it is. All right. I don't know if I could take much more of this. This fucking guy is out there. But this is how things go. One of my subs or somebody will hear about me, or somebody will capture something like this and they'll send it to me. And I figured, this one might be good to look into. I don't know if he's got a social media presence or not, but it would be kind of cool to follow through on this one. And I don't know if my sub's going to get any more conversations with this guy. I would love for him to elaborate a little bit about some of this stuff, but there is some other stuff in here that's just totally off the wall, and that I keyed in on when I was doing my my cleanup of the audio. All right, we'll continue.
like I went to Bragg for jump school. It's like the Air Force had a jump school, but the only people that went to their jump school were pilots. And if you worked on a bomber or something like that, you would go to their jump school.
He said he went to Bragg to jump school. Unless it changed, Fort Benning is the U.S. Army Airborne Jump School, and they cater to like the Air Force guys, the PJs and stuff like that, Marines, Navy SEALs go to the Army Jump School. I'm not going to release his name, Paul. He's one of my longtime subscribers. This is a coworker of his that's been talking these stories. Captured this conversation they had and sent it to me. So a less aggressive DeWitt. Yeah, it could be. All right, I want to try and get through this video. I don't want to be like Stone Vet and take 3 hours to get through a 25-minute video.
PJ's had a program for, learning how to be a combat medic, but combat controllers didn't really have. We had Nellis Air Force Base where we went to learn 911 communications. Well,
No yawning.
and even then, like today, they still call it 9-line, but they only read 5 lines, maybe 4 lines, because one of the lines is saying who you are, okay? Um, or saying what unit. You don't want that on the radio, because if it's on the radio, then the bad guys can pick it up and say, oh, 2nd Battalion Ranger Regiment is with him. Let's go clean some house. They'll take people from, they'll take their bad guys and say, hey, pull out of this area and go over here because we're going to destroy the entire 2nd Battalion Ranger Regiment.
Well, considering when you call in your 9-line medevac, it's on a secure radio system, and the bad guys usually can't get into that. So I don't know what the frig he's talking about, but yeah, we do use a 9-line.
That'll really drive a nail in the coffin. So you don't want to say that. They already know it's a JTAC or a combat controller, so you don't have to identify yourself other than, who you are, because you get on a sat phone or a radio, then you're talking to an Air Force liaison officer who's then talking to the pilot or talking to the ship or talking to whoever is whoever's launching the strike, because it could be a lot of things. I took out a bunch of tanks with 3 Tomahawk cruise missiles.
I wonder when he took out a bunch of tanks with Tomahawk cruise missiles. It's where like 93 to 95 to 99. So it was after the first Gulf. Maybe he's got a G.I. Joe set. I don't know.
All I did was paint them. We took out some enemy armor with. There was a bunch of Army engineers. I guess they're like 12 Bravos, and so we took out a bunch of those guys who like light armored vehicles with javelin missiles. And again, I just painted them with sulfur. Paint the target, and they say, "Oh, hey, look, there's the paint job. Let's wreck them." And they could be 6 miles away as long as it sees the lock on. It's like, oh, that's where we're going.
So I wonder, whenever you shot that kid, were you with the SEALs or Delta?
Actually, at the time, I was with 82nd Airborne.
All right, now he's crossing the line. He had better take the 82nd Airborne beloved's name out of his mouth. Ooh, that pisses me off. Yeah, 73 East thing. I love you guys in the chat. Yeah, the BS, Burnsy, the BS is just flowing quite freely. Yeah, nobody ever wants to call a 9-line. I just got to take a couple of quick breaths here. Yeah, I didn't know that the Air Force had Tomahawks either. But he is a forward. If he was a combat air controller, why would he be guiding missiles? He'd be guiding aircraft. Ugh. There is just so much wrong. But these guys are out there. They're amongst us. They, like I said, the gentleman that sent me this, longtime subscriber, he's a security professional and has been working in it. And this is a new guy that just come on the job, and this is the shit he's spewing at him. So it's pretty crazy.
Where are they stationed at?
Bragg.
82nd Airborne.
82nd's out of Bragg, 101st is out of Fort Campbell.
Okay. Yeah.
At least he got that right.
And I was actually meeting up with my unit, but they'd already left. And my unit I'd completed my training, I completed my Ranger stuff, I completed my SEAL stuff. You still had to try out for my unit. You still had to try out. They had to know whether or not they could work with you as a
Completed his Ranger scroll, completed his SEAL stuff. Oh, please poke him some more on the SEAL stuff.
individual and as a team.
But like to work with them, you didn't have to go to Buds or anything. You said.
No, I went to Buds. But
What was your class number?
I could work it up.
What year did you graduate? Buds.
I love my guy. What Bud's class was that? Oh, I'll have to look it up. Well, what year did you graduate? Oh yeah, Burns. He's also a SEAL. Yeah. I love it. So Delta combat air guy. He got his 3rd Battalion Ranger scroll certified. Now he's a SEAL. You can't make this shit up. You just can't.
1 month.
Again, I don't know.
We're
talking 40 years ago, man.
Yeah.
40 years ago now.
And even then, you went in knowing that you could not be a SEAL.
What do you mean by that?
If anybody that said they were in the Marine Corps and they were a SEAL, they lied. You have to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
You got to be in the Navy.
Yeah. That's why they're calling Navy SEALs,
right?
Not Marine Corps SEAls.
Right. Exactly. It was a leadership school, but you couldn't.
What year was it?
86.
So 5 years after you went in, you went trained with SEALs and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it took 3 years to get all the combat controller stuff out of the way.
Is it just me, or is he all over the fucking place with dates? It started at 93, went to 99. Now he graduated Buds in 86. This guy is like 40 years. He's all over the fucking place. Yeah. Yeah. He was shooting RPGs at Kaiser's Hummer.
That's why they don't want to let go of combat controller.
So there's red flag operations. What's that other flag color training? I can't think of that right now. What is that? You got red flag. What's that other one?
Man, you're talking a long time ago for me. Sorry.
I can't think of the other one. Shoot. What other units like JTAC and who else you work with?
Well, like 23rd Air Force, we did a lot of QRF. During Somalia, we did the extraction.
Now he was in Somalia. Holy jumping Jesus. I don't know if I'm gonna get through the video. I might fucking lose my mind.
Okay.
Well, we were the initial intended extraction, but even that went to hell. So then that's when 10th Mountain and the Turkish came in with their light armor, and even they pulled us out. But like they would take skinnies would take a whole bunch of cars and trucks and stuff like that and block off the streets. And then to make it, so that we could not get out, so we could not physically move the vehicles, they would set the vehicles on fire. And there'd be the burning roadblock up ahead. And we'd have to back up, turn around, and go another direction.
Hmm.
And we were driving through people's backyards and shit. Um, and we had Blackhawks, but we didn't have.
Yeah, I hear you, Doc. I know exactly what you're saying. This. Mm-mm. He did say he hadn't been vetted yet for the job, so hopefully they look into his. Uh, uh, we'll continue on.
We didn't have access to Apache. They wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us have us. We had two of them.
Like what? As Navy SEAL or as Air Force
No, that was
or Delta? Which one?
well. When we were there, it was 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, Delta Force, 23rd Air Force, 10th Mountain, and Turkish Army.
Well, considering the 23rd Air Force was from 2008 to 2013, kind of tough for him to be in Somalia. And yeah, I caught it. Somebody's, who was it? Paul. Yeah, red flag is an Air Force thing. So I didn't know what that was. And my sub, he's pretty big and heavy into the Civil Air Patrol, which works hand in hand with the Air Force. So he knows quite a bit of the key terms for the Air Force stuff. And legitimate that could be done with this clown? No, but it is fun to make fun of him. I'm hoping that I can get a name and he has some kind of a online presence that we can try and confront him, because I think it would be hilarious. Okay, Rebecca. It's a combat training thing. There's also a green flag too. Thank you. See, I'm learning. I'm always learning, and I try and store this stuff. So when I'm looking at some of these guys and they mention something, I have some kind of clue as to what they're talking about. All right, let's continue on.
And like what Delta did was Delta came in on little birds and they landed on the roof, dropped them off on the roof. And
Excuse me.
they'd go in, find the bad guy that they were kidnapping. Yes, that's what they were doing. They were kidnapping and he
Really? They were kidnapping the bad guys?
men. So
Still in contact with anybody from the SEALs or Delta or anything?
I ran into Kyle Lamb.
No.
Looks fine. ran into
So you worked with Kyle Lim?
small.
And as a SEAL?
No, he's Delta.
Oh, Delta,
No,
okay.
he's Delta.
Okay.
I ran into Larry Vickers at SHOT Show. He had the TV show on NRA TV, but he's at Delta too. I don't really stay in contact with anybody who was Ranger. When I got out, you get out and you don't have an honor for discharge. When you get out, a lot of people that where you're from
There's my man.
suddenly aren't. Okay. Healthier for your career if you don't have friends or general dishonor for discharge. So, and I had one buddy with fifth group, and we stayed in contact until he died in 2005.
Sorry to hear. So where was it that you got into that firefight? One to tell me about the kid.
Oh, that was Panama.
Panama City.
That was the airport.
And he was in Panama. Of course, he can't leave anything out. I'm sure if you kept asking him questions, he would go back as far as Grenada. I don't know.
Panama. Noriega had later found out he took a lot of kids. Because the whole thing about Panama was that they knew that the U.S. knew that Noriega was a frontman, a bagman for the Colombian drug cartel. So he was president, he was getting money from taxes. President Noriega was president of Panama, so he was getting money from taxes. He was getting money from the U.S. for being a CIA stooge, and he was double dipping. He was getting money from the for letting. So since he basically had the Panama Canal because he was the president of Panama, he would let his people into the canal zone, and then they would plant drugs on different freighters that were bound for the United States, and the drugs would come up that way. So, and of course, the United States government eventually figured it out, and that's what that was all about.
No, Rick, he doesn't understand. He's not buying it.
So just curious because I'm interested in this stuff. Like, where did you train with the SEALs? And also Delta.
Well, I didn't train with Delta. I just worked with them a couple of times.
Okay, he wasn't a Delta operator. He worked with them a couple of times.
I was
Bullshit.
It wasn't even a SEAL. When I went to Buds and graduated underwater demolition, I wasn't, even if they would let me come in, even if I had changed, left the Air Force and joined the Navy, I still wouldn't have been a SEAL.
And that was in '86.
86 or 87. Something like that.
Remember any people that you were like in the class with? Any names? Remember any sergeants, lieutenants, whatever they are?
There was a guy, he had a funny last name. Guy, his last name was Toon.
Two,
Yeah.
like TUNE.
Toon.
Ah.
Cartoon. Um,
Where else you go overseas? Where else you go overseas?
well, pretty much Panama, Panama and Kosovo. I mean, on my way there,
Well, no, I meant like combat was.
yeah, yeah, those were three campaigns. Um, none of them lasted that long. I mean, so like Kosovo, the war in Kosovo lasted 2 years, but we weren't there for 2 years. We were only there for 5 or 6 months.
Hmm.
Why were we only there for 5 or 6 months? Because it took NATO that long to convince Bill Clinton to send troops. Um,
That's just crazy that you went to the dance. They couldn't get you to seal. That's just crazy.
um, again, you have to do that. You have to be in the Navy to become a SEAL. Um, you'd have to, but
Exactly.
even still, I didn't do well enough to actually become one. I just graduated the school. It's not. It's it's like
From what I hear,
leadership school. If you graduate, then you did something.
yeah, from what I hear, Buds is the most toughest.
Um,
So he graduated Buds, but he didn't do good enough to be a SEAL, but he was in the Air Force. But you have to be in the Navy to be a SEAL. Wow. I'm sure Don Shipley will pick up on this. I hope. I hope Don has to put up with so many of these fake Navy SEALs. It's kind of funny that I'm actually getting an audio of one, and I'm sure if Don latches onto it, he'll go after this guy.
I think the toughest part was like just the daily breakdown. You um, like you see pictures of doing leg lifts in the surf.
Yeah.
And I mean, the water splashes up over your face. It's salt water.
Hmm.
Okay, it's off the coast of Georgia. Okay,
Huh?
it, it, it sucks. But it's not like you're being water. You breathe pretty freely. It's not like it's just at that point in time, if you're not in good enough shape to keep your legs lifted 6 inches for whatever length of time that they want you to, then you don't belong there anyway. You know, and really, because they are so team oriented, the team's only as strong as its weakest link. So you want to weed out the weak links anyway.
It's true.
It makes sense.
Getting close to the end.
So where was the training at for Navy SEAls?
It's in Georgia.
down in Georgia. He went to SEAL training, buds, in Georgia. Okay.
Oh, I'm almost there for a smoke.
We got through the video. Thank God he went outside for a smoke because I couldn't have taken much fucking more of that. I don't know about any of you guys, but yeah, graduated buds in '86, but he wasn't good enough. But you have to be in the Navy. uh, I I don't even know how to take it. I don't even know how to dissect any of this. Um, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And my super sleuths out here, they've dug into the 23rd Air Force. And yeah, Jerry, I need to breathe. No shit. So Kosovo, Somalia, Panama, took out 10 tanks with 3 Tomahawks, which Doc posted on there. Yeah, that thing was designated where it was going uh, before it ever got fired. You don't laze targets and bring Tomahawks in. Yeah, that was a jerkin with sandpaper. It was amusing, but the thing is, this guy's out there telling these stories, thinking that people believe him, and I mean, he's telling it to one of my subscribers who knows enough, and he was asking all the right questions and all the key questions in regards to phony Navy SEALs. You know, what bug class you go to? Oh, yeah. What year did you graduate? What month was that? Where was you training? And when he said Georgia, I'm glad I wasn't drinking my coffee because I would have spewed it all over the desk. Yeah, I don't think he was in the minus 37 special forces. Yeah, that was one of my DeWitt videos after his lie detector results came out, and they were a negative 37. Yeah, 23rd Air Force. That sounds more like it. And somebody was asking about. Yeah, he couldn't keep it all straight. He was all over the place. The dates, they started at one date and went forward, went back 40 years, and then back into the 80s. And there was something I wanted to address. See if I can find it here in the chat. I believe it was Misty Eye Girl was wanting to know if I had a community post on how to look up somebody's military records. If you just type in Google military records and go to the National Archives site, you should be able to get all the information you need from there in order to do it. You'll need a date of birth, preferably a social security. If the person's still alive, you'll need their signature to get copies of all their records. If they're deceased, I'm not sure exactly what you need, but you can request them through that avenue. But just type in military records in Google, and it'll come up with a link to the National Archive. And there's different links that you can click. You can do it online or whatever. So hey, I got through a 26-minute, 27-minute video in less than an hour. Take that, Stone Vet. You can't do that. Yes, SEALs train out of Coronado. They sure do. Yeah, he retired buds, all right. Marijuana buds. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, Woodrow brings up a point too. He hasn't been watching these movies in sequence to line up with the dates correctly. Untrackable. I got a story. Buy me a beer and I'll lie all night long. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, these guys were at work, and this was the this this was and he is in the chat too. Uh, yeah, I believe. So yeah, you don't even need a signature if you're a relation. So thanks, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support, and I'm sure we'll be talking. That's true, untrackable. I mean that's what like Wrangler and K4 do. Their channels exist at the expense of other people's channels who actually make content, and then they just play their content and talk shit about them. I could do that. I could do that all day long, but I don't. I know this was kind of early in the day, and I'm sure a lot of people will take a look at it. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody tuning in on a Tuesday afternoon, early afternoon. I'm sure a lot of you took your lunch break or whatever, or your afternoon break or whatever. If anybody's got anything you'd like me to look into, be sure to shoot me an email. The email's available on the channel in the About section. James K, thanks. I appreciate that. And we did show the taser video, and I'm glad everybody enjoyed that. If you missed it, go back to the beginning. James threw up $2 for me to show the taser video, so that's what I did. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to find out what happens. Yeah, I'd like to know where this goes to, because this guy's, I don't think he's really all that stable telling these kind of stories, or he's going to end up being some kind of fucking Rambo. And, get himself and his employer in trouble. I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. All right. So, with that, I'll say see you later and have a great day.